Your thoughts on the whole UFC 151 cancellation? What do you think about that, and who do you point the finger at if you have to?
Well, you know, I mean, obviously everybody was disappointed. The people that I felt sorry the most for was the guys that trained their backside off and guys that put in 10 to 20 grand for their camps. And the way, you know, people forget that when a guy's in camp, whether you're at home or you go away, everything costs money. Their food, their travels, their training partners, and so on. You know, and so those are the guys I feel sorry for. I feel, you know, also I feel sorry for UFC as well, because obviously, you know, I'm sure they never ever anticipated that would happen, and I'm sure that they never wanted that to happen. And really, I'm not, you know, it's not my job to point the finger at anybody, because at the end of the day, you shouldn't, any promotion shouldn't rely on one guy to carry the fight.
Let me ask you a better question though. Would you allow your fighter to fight a new opponent on 8 days notice?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is, you know, when you're, and again, listen, I'm not saying what Greg Jackson and Jon Jones did was wrong or right. All I'm saying is, I mean, for them it was right. And all I'm saying is that if it was me and in my camp, we would have fought, because my guy would have been 100% ready. Sure, there would have been a few adjustments to be made, but you know what? Personally, I think Jon Jones is one of the most gifted and talented fighters out there, and I know for a fact that he would have been able to make the adjustments. I mean, he comes up with all sorts of, you know, things that just surprises and shock the fans, and so I don't know. I mean, I still was confident. I think Jon still would have won the fight, but just because, you know, Chael didn't have any time to prepare, you know what I mean? So who really knows? I mean, like, you know, we could only know if that was gonna actually happen, if they were or ought to fight later somewhere down the line, you know what I mean? But all in all, it was just sad and disappointing that the event didn't happen.
You know, me directly didn't affect me, but like, you know, I feel for like a lot of guys that are on that card, you know, like one of the guys, my teammate, you know, Jay Huron, like the guy was scheduled to be in a co-main event. He got like a last minute fight replacement, and you know, super excited about being back in the UFC, and especially for Jay, man, like Jay, like for the last few years, that has always happened to him. Like, you know, either like companies just hold him, like don't let him fight, or he's always having some, like, you know, contract issues, or, you know, opponents pulling out of fights like last minute. So Jay always has an issue about getting a fight, and then he gets a huge fight in a co-main event in the UFC, and then they cancel the event. So like, you know, I feel for him, like just more for the fact that he's a friend of mine and teammate. But overall, you know, for the guys on the undercard too, like there were guys that are making like 5 and 5 to fight. Some guys, they don't get good sponsor because they don't have, like, you know, they don't have that big of a name, so it's hard. Like they barely make like 15 grand like total with sponsorship and fight, and they have to pay trainers, and they have to pay trainers no matter what. With you know, the fight happening or not, they're gonna have to pay trainers. They're gonna, you know, they spend all their money like training, like with diet, like, you know, driving to the gym every single day, like 3 times a day. So I feel bad for those guys that are not making big money, and now they have to they're gonna have to sit out for at least like another 3 weeks or like a couple months until they have another fight. So that's what I feel bad the most, and I feel bad about myself because, you know, the event was gonna be in Vegas, and I was supposed to go to watch. I was supposed to go have some fun, and now I'm gonna have to sit at home like watch TV. So it sucks.
Do you feel like the company dealt with it in the right way, and do you justify canceling the event?
Well, here's the thing, like there's a lot of blame on Jones for, like, you know, not taking the fight against Chael. Here's the thing, I would not blame like directly, but here's the thing, you cannot say like, it would be hard to sell an event like without a main event, without like a big fight. what I think, which I'm not sure, what I think UFC tried to do in this fight, this event was to put like, you know, some good fights, but not like huge names, and a big fight, which was Jones and Henderson. But once that fight, like, you know, was not gonna happen, like it was gonna be like really hard to sell that card. So they just realized that, they decided to cancel. Like, but here's the thing: the only thing that I would blame Jones is for the fact that he's the champion. Like, you know, as a champion, I think you have to take whatever fight that, you know, the company, your boss tells you to take. Like not too long ago, he was saying that he would never, like, you know, he would never back out of a fight. He would never like turn down a fight, and he did. So, like, you know, don't say like one thing that you would never do if you're gonna do it, like, you know, at some point. So I think that's where he messed up.
Personally, I was really bummed out. Two reasons. First and foremost, for my teammate Jay Hiron. You know, he's been working so hard, and I've always said it, we've always said it in here, that if anybody deserves it, it's Jay, because he's always in here 24/7 putting in work, working hard, you know, fighting his fight, and, you know, trying to hustle for fights. And finally he gets this opportunity, he gets this call, you know, and it's like everything is ready to go. He's a week out, and then boom, card is canceled. Luckily for him, he got rescheduled, same guy, and hopefully same spot on the card as he was on this one. Big opportunity for him. Second reason I was bummed out is one of my boys is coming up from Hawaii. Was gonna take him to watch the fights. He's a big Dan Henderson fan. You know, we've been watching that guy since we've been growing up in the Pride days, old UFC and whatnot. So was really looking forward to that. And you know, it just sucks. It's crazy. It's something that I thought would never happen. One fight can decide a whole card. I feel really bad for the fighters, everybody who busted their ass for basically a whole fight camp, because fight camp is typically 10 to 8 weeks, somewhere around there, and it got called 1 week prior to them fighting. So, you know, it's just the biggest downfall is for those guys, and you know, it's shocking, but I mean, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? Got canceled. Oh well.
Would you have taken a new opponent on 8 days' notice if you were Jon Jones?
You know what? If I was Jon Jones, I can't say if I was Jon Jones. If I was in his position, me personally, I would have, you know, taken another fight, just for those other fighters. And on top of that, I really like Chael Sonnen. He can promote the shit out of a fight. He's a really good fighter as far as, you know, what he does. He executes it well. But you look at Jon Jones, and Jon Jones is dangerous everywhere. He's a striker. He's a wrestler. He has good ground and pound. He has good takedowns, takedown defense, and sick jiu-jitsu, sick submissions. You know, so I don't know. From my point, I felt like that was a good matchup for him, fighting somebody like Chael Sonnen, who's coming off a layoff, who's only going to get 8 days to prepare for this fight, and who is not as much of a threat as you. But you know, Jon Jones made his decision for whatever reason. He's his own man. He makes his own decisions. But just me personally, if I was in his shoes, I would have taken the fight. You know, it's like, to me, you're 8 days out. You've been training hard. The opponent changes a little bit, but you still got to go out there and fight no matter what.
I'm not going to ask questions about the boss staying white or anything like that, but do you feel like maybe Jay could have carried the card and maybe saved it from being canceled, or do you agree with them shutting down the whole card?
You know what? Just because I know this might be biased, because Jay is my really good friend. He's one of those guys that been in the sport a long time too. He hasn't really been able to shine on the UFC's platform, but you know, everybody, he's a real tough fighter, and in here he kicks my ass all the time. So he's one of those guys that I look up to. So I definitely thought that he could have carried that card. He's beat Ellenberger before, and Ellenberger himself is a super marketable fighter. You know, he's real exciting to watch, and I think that it would have been, and I think it's gonna be a good fight. You know, maybe I'm not too sure how the business aspect of it is, as far as them selling pay-per-views, what quotas they gotta hit, and whatever. But I mean, it seems to me like they lose more money canceling the card. But hey, you know what? I'm not running the UFC. I'm just a fighter. So I don't know, but I thought that it was brought up that maybe they should have tried and turned it into a free card instead of a pay-per-view, and had Jay and Jake headline it. I thought that was a good idea, you know, that's a solution to it. But you know, like I said, it happened already. It's done with. The fight is not gonna happen. The whole card is not gonna happen, so it is what it is.